Hi, and welcome to the Hollywood Dreammaker podcast. I'm your host, Billy Gallo. I'm a 35-year veteran actor. I'm the kid who came out to Hollywood with $200 in my pocket and a one-way ticket when I was 18. Didn't know a soul out here, and I've been living my dream ever since. I've had an amazing career. I've been an Academy Award-winning film, blockbuster film, hit TV series. You name it, I've done it, and I got the IMDb credits to prove it. 6 years ago, I opened up my own school, the Manhattan Actor Studio, where I found my true passion. That's teaching the craft of acting, but not only teaching the craft, but being the guy. Success leaves clues. I know how to make dreams a reality. I did it for myself, and I do it on a daily basis for my students. And I can help you achieve yours. Welcome to my podcast. Let's get started. I am super excited to introduce my guest. She's an actor with over 25 years of experience in voiceover work. For the past 15 years, she's been teaching the art of voiceover. I want to welcome the talented Alyson Steel to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here. Love it.
So I created this podcast to inspire artists to follow their dreams, right? If a kid like me can come out to Hollywood at 18 with $200 in my pocket, a one-way ticket, not knowing a soul out here and making the dream a reality, then why can't the listener out there, right?
Oh my God, absolutely. Every day, all day.
So I'd love to pick your brain. Like, when did you know you wanted to be in showbiz? When did you know you wanted to be an actor?
Probably like you. I grew up in New York and I kind of want to go into the accent just hearing you because it's so endearing and I love it. I knew when I was a little kid. So I went to the High School of Performing Arts in New York City, the original Fame School. I was the last graduating class. And then I went to Queens College and studied acting and all this, did some soap stuff, commercials, all that in New York. And then went to grad school and became a smart actor at Stony Brook University. And in dramaturgy, you can all go look that up. And then I was like, no, I want to still do on camera. So I came out here to pursue the dream. And then I was like, oh, I should finally do voiceover. And I started doing more, then it just rolled from there.
That's
so
awesome.
Got little bits of on-camera stuff here and there, but mostly it's voiceover.
Well, I listened to your voiceover when we don't know each other. You sent me an email and, you teach voiceover and I have a school and, I think it's a perfect fit. And I'm really excited because I think it's really important for actors to have, every revenue stream open to them, commercial work. I know for me as a young actor, I grew up in New York and I studied at Lee Strasberg and I did my first play at the Actor Studio. So when I came out, I was like, I don't do commercials. It was like a taboo kind of deal, till I saw Robert De Niro on American Express commercial. And I was like, wait a second, maybe I should be doing commercials, right? So, but, it's really important to open those doors. I know for me, for years, I didn't do commercials. And then, I saw my friend buying a big house because he had 5 national commercials running. And I'm like, wait a second, what's wrong with this picture? And then I said, okay, let me start doing commercials. And it was amazing because I made a shitload of money doing commercials. And, there's a revenue stream there. Yes. That I think actors have to have. And I think voiceover work is an awesome revenue stream because there's video games, there's all kinds of stuff. And I listened to I went to your Alyson Steel, your website. What is your website? .com?
AlysonSteel.com. Yeah. Spell it correctly.
And I listened to your reels and they were awesome. I love, what you were doing on them. So,
Thank you.
So if I'm an actor, right, and I'm just kind of starting out and I want to get into this voiceover, even me, I don't do voiceover work. I've never gone down that path. I've been very blessed that I've been, in front of the camera and I've been doing a lot of, producing stuff and teaching. And so, but that's, let's say for me, if I said, oh, okay, I want to be a voiceover actor or somebody just starting out, what's the path? How do I get into voiceover?
Okay. Even for people like you, and I've had my share of celebrities approach me. And by the way, we've worked with some of the same people, which cracks me up. And I love, it's like the Kevin Bacon thing, but even for the celebrity, I'm like, you have to study. It's always the first, but because even though it intersects with the whole on-camera thing, and certainly it's the same thing, except you're using your voice, there's still different techniques to it. So you have to learn that end of the industry because, as you know, it's business show first. Right. So I want everybody, like all my students, to learn the lingo, to learn all the genres, how you make money, to learn everything about it so that you know what you're doing. So I would say the first thing, study.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what are the genres? If actors out there don't know, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Oh my God, so many different. So, for example, there's commercial, promo, trailer, imaging, narration, video games, as you said, animation, doing stuff for audio stuff for museums, and audiobooks, e-learning, and on and on. So those are like the mainstays that a lot, and telephony. I mean, they keep coming. I follow a rubric usually so that I don't forget, because there's so much. Even being a DJ is a voiceover actor. It's just a different form of it. It's very presentational. So doing the news and weather. So there's just so much out there to be able to make. Even this is an interesting one. When you're watching a movie and you're blind, but you need, and as you know, of course, being in the film and on TV, it's all video. There's not as much talking, but the blind person needs to know. And she walked over to the door and walked down, opened the door. She walked over to the closet and opened it. So there's video description, just that alone. And then there's dubbing and on and on.
Okay, so I've studied now. I've taken a class with you, right? And I know how to do it. I mean, what are my first steps? I mean, do I need to get a good microphone? Do I have to have twisted wave on my computer? I mean,
twisted wave, very good. So I really try to save the actor as much money as possible. There's lots of people out there who are going to just try to get as much money as they can out of you. I cannot look at myself in the mirror in the morning if I'm doing that. So I try to save the actor. I love being a mentor and taking the person by the hand from beginning soup to nuts, teaching you everything that I know so that you can be as informed as possible, especially because most of the agents in the country know me. And if they know that they're sending a demo, so then they know, if they ask who made it, they'll know much of the time, 85% of the time. So what I like to do is, we go through a whole, learning process, make a demo, and then phase 2 is how to market yourself and get yourself out there and how to actually make money. And if your next question is, when do you start making money? It depends. But I want to say to become full-time, and if you're really gung-ho, average of 3 years. Now, that being said, I have students recently, like I'm thinking of 2 or 3 people that started making money within the last, couple of months. They've already made $10,000. So not bad for a newcomer. It just depends.
So, when I work actors here, and I help them build their demo reels, on-camera demo reels, one of the first things I do is figure out what's their castability. Like, what kind of roles do you play? Can you do an accent? Are you comedic? Are you dramatic? What are you selling to Hollywood? You're a product, you're selling a product to Hollywood. And I believe that, everybody has their own unique voice. And, I think, and I would say that you want to bring your voice, you don't like try to be somebody else. You don't want to try to, that's what makes you unique.
Yes. I was listening to your podcast, a couple of your podcasts, and I was listening, and absolutely, I was like, yes, I love him already. Everything that you say is so true. You're bringing you. So I try to stretch the range of a person as much as I can, but I don't want to overdo it. We still stay within their league. I'm not going to be like, okay, you're a guy, let's try to sound like a girl. No, I just try to get as much range out of you as possible in your field, in your zone. And also with having to do with the trends going on. But yes, I will stretch you just enough that your demo should last you at least 2 to 3 years.
Right. And then I think whatever your unique, let's say you're from New York, you can do a New York accent because you grew up there. Or if you grew up in Kansas or Texas or whatever. I mean, I believe that that's sellable. That's, you could sell that, I mean, I know for me as a young actor coming out to Hollywood, I mean, I knew that was my castability. And that's what I sold to Hollywood. And, people said, oh, you get rid of that accent because you never work in Hollywood. And I was like, no, that's what makes me me. And that's what I sold. And that's what they bought. So, I think be you. Don't try to be somebody else, and don't try to, own who you are.
Amen to that. Now, here's the caveat with voiceover, though. It will pigeonhole you. Now, I hear that you can take out the New York a little bit.
Sure.
When it comes to demos, like, as you heard, I have a New York demo, but I don't put New York in in any other demo. If you're from the South, it's considered kind of cute, and I'll Easter egg that into somebody's demo if they're Southern, like if they're indigenous Southern. Otherwise, if somebody's coming to me, let's say with a really super strong accent and they really want to do this, I eradicate it. And then I tell them to put it back in as like little Easter eggs. But otherwise, you're going to get pigeonholed only to your area. That's the problem with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know I have friends of mine that have that New York accent, and they use it to their advantage. I mean, any video game where they're looking for like the mob guy or the gang member or the gang boss, whatever those roles, they're booking those roles. I mean, landing. I mean, I have friends of mine that have, if you look at their IMDb, they got like, 50 video games where they're playing those voices.
Yes, video games and animation notwithstanding. I guess I'm talking about just commercial narration.
Okay.
But yes, video games and animation. Oh yeah, be you. 100%. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Okay, so there's voiceover booths and stuff like that. I mean, there are different types of mics. Awesome.
Yes.
Love it. So you have the booth right there. Love it. So, some people cannot afford the booth,
Exactly.
So, as far as like microphones are concerned, there are different types of mics. There's, like the one that I'm using right now, which is a very expensive mic. But then, there's the Blue Yeti or whatever, this one here,
Yes. So here's the thing. The Blue Yeti. Oh my God. The stuff on the Blue Yeti wouldn't go to air. Now, that being said, I worked on inexpensive microphones for years until I ended up with a Neumann. The thing is that you can buy a $150 mic and be totally fine, especially nowadays because the technology has risen. So each year that you're getting like the old Yeti, let's say, or the, an old AKG, 3 years from now, as it's rising above, you're still getting that low price. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on a microphone. You can get the Apogee, which is actually a USB mic, a perfectly great mic. That's what I travel with, $250. So you don't. Now, in terms of going where to, do you need a booth? Go into your closet. And as long as there's lots of padding, you can also get moving curtains and stuff like this. Plus, you can go on places like eBay. So I always try to get my students not to spend a lot of money. I'm Vocal Booth to Go. I have like a 10% discount for my students. So I'm like, go there, but I really do try to save people as much money as possible. There's no reason to spend. Your coach will be your most expensive endeavor in the voiceover field. Yeah.
So, when you're on the road, I mean, I'm sure that you get a lot of auditions and you got to be able to deliver on them. I mean, especially now with, self-tapes. I mean, how's the business changed because of the pandemic and self-tapes? I mean, before, were they in person or were they mostly online?
It's already been mostly online at that point. Now it's just more than ever. That's why I do teach online, because I want my student to learn how to work Twisted Wave, let's say, or and I teach them. I go all through it and I teach them all the little ins and outs and the little, things, but it's so important to be facile this way, because this is the only way that the business is run for the most part, unless you're going in for dubbing or if you're doing some animation occasionally for a commercial. But I just, had 2 commercial jobs yesterday and today, and both were online. So yeah, it's a rare day when you're actually leaving your house, hence taking the vitamin D every day.
So do you when there's Twisted Wave, which is an app that you can put on your laptop, and there's, I believe that doesn't it come with GarageBand, like an Apple? But if they needed to, they didn't have Twisted Wave. I don't know if that's a paid app or if it's a free or.
You can go online for free and play around with Twisted Wave. Once you own it, though, you own it. You can rent it. The thing is that everybody gets a little bit weirded out by, it's not about what you're recording into. It's about your microphone. So to me, using something that's going to be user-friendly. I've worked on SoundForge. I've worked on Pro Tools, GarageBand. GarageBand is the hardest thing ever. Adobe Audition, all that stuff, no bueno. So you want to use something that's really user-friendly. Twisted Wave, to me, is the way to go. My kids got home. I apologize.
It's okay. So, do you teach how to get rid of the breaths in between and
I
delete all
do.
that stuff and, clean it up and be able to deliver a nice, clean project?
I do. I do a whole lot of how to, use this the technology so that it's easiest for them when they're doing auditions, because you're pumping out all those auditions a day or whatever it is. You want to make it as streamlined as possible.
So if I'm just starting out and I want to find some, let's say, voiceover copy or material for me to work on, where do you recommend me finding pieces of copy?
Oh my goodness. There's a place called, I'm going to go on there right now. I think it's voiceactorwebsites.com, and they have a lot of stuff. edgestudios.com. There's just tons of, you can literally Google where it's copy for voiceovers. But like I said, there's a place called Edge Studio. A lot of times what I'll also do is tell students to go on ispot.tv and then literally type out what's on commercials right now in different, for whatever it be, Tide or, different sorts of products. Type it out and start using that as your rehearsal copy, because it's right here and now. It's on TV now, or not radio necessarily, but.
So let's say I'm a young actor and I can't afford classes right now, but I want to start, getting my feet wet and I want to start training myself. What are those steps to do?
First thing I always tell my students, watch TV or listen to TV, radio, TV, YouTube, anything that you could get your ears on. Don't change the channel. You have to listen to what's going on out there. Even for, I'll also even say for like YouTube commercials, sometimes you should watch the commercial without the sound. Sometimes listen to it without watching and then do both. But you have to know what's going on out there. Different times a day, different stations. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is try to, get even a little bit of understanding of what, like the genres of voiceover. What are the pay to play websites? Should or shouldn't you use them? Looking into should or shouldn't you join, about the union stuff. So educate yourself as much as possible on the web, which it's all out there, but there's a lot of information. That's where I distill everything down.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of information.
What's the process like for creating different voices and different characters for you?
So the first thing you do, it's kind of like when being an on-camera actor, if they give you a picture, you actually try to stand like the picture. So if I get something for a video game, I will try to make my face and my body and whatever just like that. So I don't even wear shoes in the booth most of the time. So you just get into the physicality of it. Physical always comes before the voice, even in voice acting. Yeah. And when it comes to accents and dialects, that you need a good ear or, there's some methods to learning how to do accents that I can somewhat teach, or my dialect coach told me I could teach.
Right. So, you mentioned union and non-union, right? I mean, I think there's plenty of non-union stuff out there, right? I mean, an actor doesn't want to be rushing to union when they're going to close a whole door. I mean, it'd be great to become SAG eligible, but, hold off as long as possible because you're going to close off a whole revenue stream.
Absolutely, 100%. And nowadays, the voiceover industry is about 75% non-union.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first women in LA to be like, I'm going to have to do non-union. And I was very vilified. I mean, but I saw the train coming. And it's unfortunate that union, it just can't keep up, and they're aware of it. But everything now has not only loopholes, but it's like if you don't do non-union, you're going to you might lose your voiceover career unless you're on a few shows, unless you're a few people I'm thinking about who, they're in animation or they have shows running that forever. Yeah.
Can you, if you're, I'm sure you're SAG, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So can you do non-union if you're a SAG member?
Like I said, most of us do. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't anymore.
Okay.
Because it's like a runaway train. There is so much voiceover out there, and there's so much of the stuff you are seeing, 75 to 85% of it is non-union.
And
so even the large agents are sending non-union. Yeah.
How has the strike affected voiceover work? Has it at all?
Not much.
Okay.
Not much because it's under a different umbrella. I
Okay.
think it would start to affect, in my opinion, I think it would start to affect us if there's not a lot on TV, then the commercials, they're not going to want to advertise, say. So they're going to be like, kind of reticent to put something on when you're showing like repeats of repeats of repeats. And so, but it hasn't really affected that much yet. So
what about AI?
that's a thing. That is a thing. I've had agents ask literally, like, would you have them buy out your voice? I was like, yes, for a fee. Like there's a lot of agents are asking around now, because they can steal your voice just like they can steal your. So there's, that's a problem because they are starting to use AI and, but people still want to work with people and direct people. I had one line today in a commercial and they had me do it 20 different ways. So, or more. So you can't really direct AI, but is there AI going on right now? Absolutely. But hopefully it's not going to overtake maybe audiobooks first. Who knows? But I still think people like to work with people. Please God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the AI can't replace our soul, bringing that. I mean, that's what you bring.
Exactly. Yes. 100%.
So, what's your approach to auditioning? Do you have an approach to the work?
Oh yeah. Literally what I teach after, by the third lesson, I'm teaching a very psychological way. So by the third lesson, it's how to break down copy, how to mark copy, there's a whole, just like a character analysis in on camera, same thing in voiceover. There are so many different techniques. There are so many different, beyond so many. And I still study. So it's nice because I'll get things that yes.
Sure. I mean, I do too. I mean, you grow to give, right? To impart that knowledge onto your students.
Amen. Yes.
Love that. So, what are some of the downfalls of the business? What should actors know? I mean, I know it's not the easiest business to become.
No.
A working actor.
I'm working harder now, or just as hard as I was 15, 20 years ago, if not more so. It's keeping up. Some of the downfall is that it's getting glutted. It used to be such a niche profession. Voiceover, what's that? And it was just like a few of us in the land of voiceover. Now, because of technology, and it's very inexpensive to do, and anybody can go out and make a demo. Now, in my opinion, cream rises to the top. There's also the fact that, they're listening sometimes to 300 to 500 to 1,000 people for an audition. So the numbers start to, it's like throwing a spaghetti at a wall and hoping one sticks from 150 feet away. So that is a little bit of the downfall. But that being said, if you have the tenacity, your want has to surpass that. Just like being an actor, you have to want it so bad. And just like my friend said, you have to lean into the marketing is also the I don't want to say the downside, but it is a little bit because you have to I still market out and, even just like kind of go, I want to teach for schools now, that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, you're a brand. You're selling a product. You have to be out there selling the product. I don't know about you unless I get an email from you.
Yes.
So
25 years ago, you relied on one agent. Now I have agents all over the country and casting directors and advertising other countries. Oh, yes.
Cool. So you can have multiple agents
as long as you're more than 50 miles. So, one in every major city and some of the
non-major. Yeah. I mean, because you're covering all the markets. That's smart.
Yes.
Your LA agent may not be able to get that stuff that's local hire, stuff that they're shooting out in, Texas.
Exactly. So I got something today from, San Francisco that I did not get from my other agents. So there you go. Exactly.
Can you share a memorable or funny anecdote from your time in this business?
Oh my God, which one is the question? I was thinking of the scariest one as opposed to the funniest one.
What's the scariest one?
Oh my God. Okay, so I guess I could say this now because it's not being played, but I was cast as one of when they were casting it at the time, it was about 10 years ago, for one of the Google assistants.
Wow.
And it was the hardest job I ever did to this day. It was the scariest blank. And it was to be the New York woman voice. So there was New York man, New York woman, Southern man, Southern woman, kid voice, boy, girl, black man, black woman. They ended up not using it. And I signed like a 20-page NDA. But at the end of the day, when I went in there, I had to sit as still as possible. First of all, I had to sit. In voiceover, you usually stand. You had to sit, not make a sound. And it was just talking for 4 hours straight with these weird sentences that made no sense, because that's how they picked up your voice at the time. Nowadays, it's much easier. They don't have to go through but I just remember like, oh my God, this is so, I was sweating. And they give you 5 minutes at the top of every hour. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, 3 callbacks. But some of the fun ones are just, like when you get to just play and have a good time and be an old person and be like just to have a goofy time, and that's fun.
How do you find those voices for, like, let's say, like cartoon characters or video games or?
Like I said, I start with the physicality of it, but sometimes not everybody does voices, so I just have like probably about 7 or 8 voices that I just can go right into and then make them up along the way. That's how. So like the first thing is like the nanny, and then I can just go into the nanny, and you have kind of a lead off. That's kind of a lead on in that will propel you into the voice. So that's one of those fun things, and then I can Brooklyn, like those accents are really fun to me. So
yeah, I loved, like I said, I loved your New York. I was cracking up.
Oh, good.
So how do you maintain your vocal health and longevity in this business?
Such a good one. Don't whisper. Whispering is the worst thing ever, especially for a voice like mine, because your vocal cords go like this. So it hurts your voice. I have a host of remedies that if you start to feel not well, you start to take them immediately. I always have them. And then because I, lower voice, raspy, I used to talk like this when I was in high school and I didn't know how to use my voice. Now, instead of leaning on my vocal cords like this, unless I'm trying to play somebody a little younger or older, I try to talk up here. Believe it or not, I actually think about, or I taught myself to speak in my upper register in it so I can maintain myself all day and still get annoyed at my kids and yell at them.
So when I work with my actors here, we do a lot of animal work, and I think, working an animal, like if you were to say, oh, if my character were an animal, what animal would they be? And then, playing with the behavior and then finding the voice. Where does the voice come from? Yeah, I think, I think as a voiceover actor, I think it'd be really great if you really know the craft of acting, because everything that I teach, I know will, make you shine, your voice stand out from all the other voices, because I hate to say it, but most actors are lazy and they're going to be saying the words on the page. But if you can outwork them and out-prep them and out-choice them and know, write a backstory for your character, know what the character's previous circumstance was, know if they got a ticking clock, where they're going, or, there's an animal or there's a secret or this, the more you load it up, the more richer your voice is going to be, because you know who you are, you know this character, you know what's going on in their world.
Absolutely. And just like in On Camera, there's a backstory and you lead in with the moment before. And you have to literally create the scene in your mind and use your physicality kinesthetically, whether you're sitting again or standing, depending on what kind of audition it is. Absolutely. 100% of what you said. Yes. Amen.
If you could go back, right, and go give the little Alyson some life advice, what would that be?
Oh, start voiceover sooner. I would have started it earlier when I was a kid. Because, being my name, Alyson Steel, there was a famous DJ at the time in New York City, Alyson Steel. So I would get called in. This is actually a funny story. I would get calls randomly. Hey, Alyson, we would like to have you do a voiceover for the Wonder Years. I was 16 and I still sounded like this. And I was like, yeah, great. It was a Thursday night because I was watching must-see TV. And I was like, hey, Bob Barker from the Wonder Years. Yeah, I would love to. Okay, we're going to fly you in and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great. But I have to tell you, I'm not that Alyson Steel. And he totally bought that I was. I got into a lot of agencies with my name and this and that. But yes, I would absolutely have started it earlier because I didn't have the bug. But that's okay. I got it when I came out to LA, and then I was like, I'm going to do voiceover. But you don't just do it to do it, because again, you have to really have that draw like an actor. You have to really want it.
I mean, I love, the beauty is you could do it from anywhere. All right. I mean, you can do it from anywhere. You don't have to, I mean, back in the day before, when there was in-person stuff, even voiceover actors do it from the comfort of their home. They can do 20 takes till they feel like they got the right one and send that out. I think there's a beauty to that. I mean, I personally love self-tape auditions. I think it's great for actors because you can really give them the performance. You can serve it up, hair, makeup, wardrobe, the framing it right, lit right. You've done all the work, and you're giving them a product that they can look at and go, oh my gosh, that's her. That's the guy we're looking for. Because, you're not leaving anything to the imagination.
100% agree. Yes. Yes. And the way you're framed and the way your lighting is, just looking at you now, I'm like, yep. And you get to do it over and over again, and there's not much nerves going on. Oh, yes, absolutely. Here's a downside about voiceover. You don't take your eyes off the page, so you start to lose how to memorize.
Okay, so you don't do any kind of memorization? Okay.
No, on a rare, yeah, even for one line, I'm always reading it over and over again. You never take your eyes off the page.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's really interesting when I have to memorize for an on-camera audition, because I still pursue on camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I got to memorize.
Oh, that's great. So last question, advice to actors.
Yes, keep studying. Do study, please. The best thing you do is study with the best. Like study with yourself, because you got that. You have the training. You're, a great mentor, I can tell. Just go to the best, study with those people, and put yourself, study with the best that you can, and go for it 100%. If you're going to go this much, you're going to get this much back, and you can't complain about it.
Yeah,
you got to give 150%.
Yeah, everything. If you're going to do it, you got to go after it with a vengeance. Be relentless in the pursuit of it. Don't take no for an answer. You're going to get no's. No's are good. No's mean you're closer to a yes. So get some no's, be in the game, never quit up, never give up on your dream, and it will happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're taking, and one other thing, the agents are taking, they obviously like you. It's not about you when you don't get the role, or rarely if you're screwed up an audition, maybe, but if they're still standing you out, they believe in you. So you just go in and do your best work and put it aside.
Okay, I lied. One more question. So, now that I've figured out my voice and I created my demo reel, and, I have some tools to market myself as a voiceover actor, what is the approach to getting representation?
I'd walk you through it.
Okay,
Cover
great.
letter, resume, when to send it, how to send it, website. Those are all, I just do a whole thick couple of hours on that with you, go back and forth, fine tooth comb, and then
cool. Well, I look forward to putting up a voiceover class here at the Manhattan Actor Studio and working with you.
Excited.
And I'm very excited. And I thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I know it was last minute and I asked you to jump on. Thank you.
Anytime.
For jumping on. And I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yes. Amen. Me too.
Right. You take care, Alyson.
You too, Billy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Please rate, review, share this with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't. Please take whatever you get from here, the golden nuggets, and apply them to your career. Go after your dreams with passion. Don't let anybody tell you it can't be done. I believe in you. Follow your dreams. I'll see you in Hollywood.